I believe we're on. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you to City Council, our regular council meeting for March 20th, 2023. And we would first like to acknowledge the traditional territories and the oral practices of the Blackfoot Nation, which include Siksika, Kainai, and the Piikani. We also acknowledge the Tsuut'ina and the Stoney Nakoda First Nation and Métis Nation Region 3, and all the people who make their home in Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta. We're making this acknowledgement to demonstrate our continuing efforts to work together as we strive for reconciliation through increased and collective learning. So welcome everyone here to today. Is there any items to be added to the agenda? Alan?
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council, I'd like to recommend that we add business item 8F, which is a declaration of International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, please.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is moved by Councillor Nesbitt that the agenda be adopted as amended by adding agenda item 8F, Proclamation International Day of Elimination, for the elimination of racial discrimination. All in favor? All right, thank you. Carried. Well. Okay, now do we need a motion to adopt the agenda now as presented? No, we're good? Okay. All right. Moved by Councillor Prentice that the minutes of the regular council meeting held March 6, 2023 be approved. All in favor of that? All right, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so now we are at our RCMP, right? Yep, RCMP report, February 23. So moved by Councillor Wardrop that the February 2023 RCMP report be accepted as information. We'll welcome you up. Good afternoon.
Corporal Joe Schmidt, I'm filling in for Sergeant Searle, who's filling in for you. It's only my second time. You'll have to be patient. Corporal Joe Schmidt, I'm here, Sergeant Searle and both Staff Sergeant Yetman are still away, so I'm here to fill in for them. Like I said, it's only my second one, so be kind. Went through the report today. We responded to 333 calls for service. We had a total of 24 prisoners that were lodged in the cells at the detachment. 145 criminal record checks were completed by the municipal staff, and 61 violation tickets were issued within the city. Really only kind of two significant events that stuck out in February. On February 8th, we investigated an incident between two neighbors. It was a dispute, a bit of a long-standing one, where one grabbed a crowbar and chased the other male down and attempted to assault him. Luckily, there was no injuries, just some damage to a vehicle, and we located that individual and charged him with assault with a weapon, and he was remanded into custody. And then on the 23rd, we responded to a complaint of a 25-year-old male armed with a knife at a residence attempting to assault his family and the occupants of the house. We attended and we located the male inside, and he was still wielding the knife. He refused to comply with all the demands, and a CEW, which is commonly referred to as a taser, conducted energy weapon, was utilized to take him into custody, and he was charged with assault with a weapon and possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose. Most of that's derived around some mental health issues, a mental health crisis that he was going at the time. So there were no injuries other than a couple pinholes from the taser from him and none to our members. That's about the most significant calls that were noted. Right now, no staffing issues. Everything seems to be going fairly good, except for a little mouse that's running around our detachment, which they're working on weather stripping today. So, other than that big issue last week, a few calls have gone up. 16% increase in criminal code offense crime, 4 break-in enters, which increased our stats significantly, but that was only because there was 0 before that. Most of those break-in enters turned out to be unfounded. One was into a detached home. The other ones were was mostly resolved around roommate issues and landlord tenancy issues of things missing that were not missing. Our theft of motor vehicles has gone down, 7 fewer incidences this month, which I'm sure is probably due to some of the weather and people not warming up their cars with keys in them. Some of our thefts have gone up, and the numbers show it's increased quite a bit. However, looking at all the thefts that came in, mostly I've left my phone out on a bench at JBS. I came back and it was gone. I left my wallet in a card. Nothing really targeted, more opportunistic thefts, things like that, that have come. A lot of our mental health calls have gone down. Catalytic converter thefts, we've only had one in that last month. And that's kind of a bit of the highlights so far. I talk fast, so
You can come back.
if you need me to slow down, I'm never get offended.
Oh, that's good. Is there any questions from council?
Yes.
Councillor Jessica.
Yes, thank you, Sergeant. I have a couple of questions. One is something that we'll have to work back up the ladder from yourself. Last November, after some meetings and discussions, I guess sort of centering on how to make Brooks more appealing, more attractive, and to get people to come here, it came out that there seems to be a perception that Brooks is crime-ridden. And the statistics we get compare us to ourselves, but what I asked for at that time was some numbers for comparably sized prairie communities, and for going over a number of years, just to see how we do compare. And a few months later, I was told that that was in the works, but with Staff Sergeant Getman being gone, it may have got stalled or whatever. But if those numbers are out there, or if we can get those numbers, I should be interested in seeing just how we do stand up, and is Brooks crime-ridden or not. I don't.
Yeah, it's
myself.
definitely something I'll look into. I'm kind of in this position. I'll probably be in it for a little bit while longer, so that kind of falls on my plate. So it's definitely something I'll look at. I'm interested in them too, because I think what the optics are versus what the optics were are completely different. Just from our own police standards of you hear how busy places are and that sort of thing. And from my arrival last May till now, it just doesn't live up to the reputations that some people have. And I'm like, it's a very safe city, and Google search showed us like the 9th safest city in Canada versus 10 years ago, which was the other way around. And it's from my end and just what I was exposed to in my last attachments and stuff, it's certainly the level of the property crime here versus the targeted crime. If it's targeted property crime, that sort of thing, I think that's, from my perspective, the biggest issue here. It's centered around one group of individuals, and when we get them remanded in cells, our property crime just drops right down, so it's fairly easy to equate those numbers. And we're sitting right now where we've got most of them in custody right now, and our crime has dropped. But as far as long-term and comparisons, it's definitely something I'll
Yeah,
look
it didn't
into.
sound like it was going to be that big a deal. I hope not anyway. The other one's a little bit personal. And you may not be able to comment on this, but I understand that the person that was committing the graffiti offenses wasn't satisfying the conditions that were put on him by the courts, and that a warrant had gone out for him. And the police have priorities and everything, of course, but one of the things that also comes up in council, especially since we're creating bylaws all the time, is that rules without enforcement might as well not have rules. So I'm just was wondering if anything ever if a warrant was actually issued, if anything ever came of it or anything ever will come of it.
Well, there was a warrant issued, and then he's received another court date, probably since the last council meeting since then. I mean, I can speak from a bit of personal knowledge on it to the tools given us to affect him living up to his conditions, other than just writing in there that, you know what, he's not living up to it. He's, you know, what these conditions are in place, this is what he has to live up to. He's not. We can't do any physical enforcement to make sure they adhere to those conditions. If it's cleaning a wall, we can't make him clean that wall. We can report it to probation, and we can report it through breaches. And what the court decides to do on it past their end is kind of solely on them, and we kind of get, you know, either updated conditions on people to try and enforce, maybe stricter ones. I haven't seen those put in place on these, but it's something that gets above our level, and we're left with what we're told we can do on it, and that's where it sits. So that's kind of where it is on that one. As far as adhering and forcing to living up to their conditions, we can't have any kind of role in that other than reporting what's there and then bringing them to court and letting them decide what it is.
So I guess, but he wasn't one of the guests in your facility that you reported on here, the,
If he was, it would be a short duration, so we get unendorsed warrants or endorsed warrants is what court will put out. Unendorsed warrants means we hold them and they have to present themselves before a justice to be able to, find out if they're remanded in custody, if they're released on new conditions. Endorsed just means usually, and kind of what it's been lately is that they get a court date. So endorsed is, we're gonna release you on paperwork and a court date. Most of the issues we're finding right now is because our courthouse is under renovations. Everybody's going to Medicine Hat. A lot of the people the repeat clientele, so to say, don't have the means or options to get out to Medicine Hat. So that's a lot of the warrants that are being issued is failed to appear for court. I think June 5th, we're scheduled to reopen again. That might rectify some of these. And then maybe more personal matters where the court system's here to kind of see these people all the time. So they come into cells, they're lodged in cells, they're still counted as a prisoner up until we can do the paperwork and then released. So that was, I believe, the case in this one as well. So,
okay, thank you.
you bet.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to? No? Okay, then just a motion then to approve the RCMP report. This motion? Yeah. Moved by Councilor Wardrop that the February 2023 RCMP report be accepted as information. All in favor of that? Good, thanks. Okay, correspondence. Thank you very much for your time, and
Thank you.
appreciate your speediness on this.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks. Amy, do I just press the button? Okay, correspondence and information. Update on council conferences and workshops, accounts payable and listings, and notes from council committees. Read the motion. Moved by Councillor Jessica that the following items of correspondence be received as information. Update from council workshop and conferences, accounts payable listings, and notes from council committee March 14th, 2023. Is there any updates or anything like that? Nothing? Guys, all right. Okay, and so that's it then, motion? All right, we'll vote on the motion. All in favor? Good. Moved by Councillor Dries that the Economic Development Council update be accepted as information. Mitchell.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Yeah, today we just want to give you our annual update on the work of the Economic Development Department. And I'll just start off with maybe a little bit of a reminder of what we do as a regional department that works along with the county and the other municipalities. So our work as an Economic Development Department revolves around these, we'll just move on to the next slide, actually, thanks. Onto the core areas. I'll touch on each one of them in a bit. But as they relate to some of the work we did in 2022. So of course we've got business retention expansion, investment attraction, workforce development, and tourism development. And as you can see from this photo, this was taken at our New Grow event last year. And that is one of our more popular events, and it sort of touches on all four of these core areas. So first I'll talk about business retention and expansion. In terms of our economic development work, it is probably one of our most successful areas in terms of building and of the economy in our area. Some of the examples of what we worked on in 2022 were our beautification program, our business-to-business events. We work along with other partners as well, such as Community Futures, the Digital Service Squad, to help with businesses in the area. For example, New Grow, we had 19 applicants this year. We presented 9 presentations at our pitch competition in last year, and we had 5 businesses that we awarded funds to. 4 of them, interestingly enough, were new businesses, which is, I think, a good sign for the economy. And because of the popularity of it back last year, we're actually going to be holding it again. Some of the feedback we got was that maybe the timing of it, being just an annual event, was difficult for some businesses to apply for, especially retailers. Shortly before Christmas, it's a busy time for them. So we're going to actually do it again just 6 months in, and we're going to hopefully go forward on a sort of biannual basis, so twice a year. So May 26th, we'll be holding our next pitch competition. We've already got a number of people who are interested in applying for the program. So again, a very successful program that we're seeing a lot of startup businesses. So other things that we do, of course, you can see the blade signs here in those photos. It is a program that we've held in the past. And we also work with our partners at Apex Regional Innovation Network and Alberta Innovates to help businesses who are looking into the technology and innovation side of business. Next, sort of another area that's one of my more favorite areas to work in is the investment attraction area. It's one where we probably see fewer successes, but when they do create, they create new jobs, create new opportunities, and help diversify our economy. Through the diversification of the economy, we look at creating skilled jobs. We work with other organizations as well there too, such as BDC and Invest Alberta, to help bring attraction and investment to the area. The one area that's really come into play in the last year is the Alberta Immigration Program and the Rural Entrepreneur Stream. The Rural Entrepreneur Stream allows for investment from foreign investors into the region. Through that, similar to what the Rural Renewal Stream does, it provides them with the opportunity for permanent residency. We've gotten a lot of interest in that. We have a number of businesses, local businesses, who are looking towards succession planning, looking towards finding somebody to purchase that business. Allows us to maintain those businesses in our community as well. We've seen over the last several years that a number of businesses have just closed shop, and it's unfortunate because they're viable businesses that, given the chance, we'd like to see stay open. So the Rural Entrepreneur Stream is another way that we can look at making sure that they stay here. And as well, there's a lot of interest in other areas of investment that can hopefully diversify the economy. We've seen solar projects in the region going up. We've seen one proposed for the city of Brooks as well. While these don't create a ton of jobs, they do create a good tax revenue for our communities, as well as provide us with sort of insight into the renewable energy industry. Next one that we'll talk about is our workforce development work. This one is an area of vastly increased focus for us as a department. Our acceptance as the first community in Alberta to take part in the Rural Renewal Stream has allowed us to focus on the ever-challenging demands of employers to fill much-needed labor gaps. In the last 5.5 months of 2022, we were able to endorse 32 candidates for the Rural Renewal Stream, and actually I don't have that number handy where we're at now, but I know it's gone well beyond that in the last few months. With the Rural Renewal Stream, it's been one that I think has been very well accepted by the employers in our area. And it's been a lot of work. I think Lisa's had to sort of invent the wheel there when it came to the program. It's so much so that we've been getting contacted by communities from around the province to lean on us for our experience too. So it's been a challenging process over the last several months, but it's been one that I think is coming to the advantage of the community. And then finally, the one area I'll touch on for last year that we sort of worked on was tourism development. Of course, we support the Brooks Region Tourism Department and Jamie McIntosh and the work that she does there. Some of the events that we saw attracted to the area, one of the big ones was, of course, the Red Bull Outliers, attracting hundreds of people to the region, and was highlighted the area to a worldwide audience through the Red Bull TV channel. It's quite an interesting program. I was amazed at how quickly they turned that around. It was within a week or two, was up on their channel, a fully produced, like 45-minute long program. So if you're interested, I'd encourage you to take a look at it. You know, it does sort of highlight on the region. It mostly just showcased the races, but it does give us some exposure to a very large audience. So it was kind of nice to see. As well, they work with the Tourism Development Fund to help attract and new businesses to the area in the tourism area. So that was sort of a recap of you know, just quickly overview of what we did last year. So next I just sort of want to look ahead and at sort of what we're doing so far in 2023 and you know, hopefully that these programs move beyond that. So it's already been a very busy year, and workforce development is probably the biggest area that we've really taken on in a big way. We've been able to add Courtney Hebert as our Workforce Development Officer in March. And she's taken on roles not just within the rural renewal stream, but just with the everyday workforce development needs of our community. It's sort of highlighted, you know, as we stepped into this, it's sort of highlighted the need even more to us. We were aware that there was these challenges available, but more and more as we talk to stakeholders and business owners and employees, there is a huge need for this type of work. So it's something that we'll continue to work on, and hopefully we'll see a lot of success in it. Hand in hand with workforce development, as we attract and develop new workers, is going to be housing. And this is another area I know that council has identified as a major need within our area. So as we will continue to work with developers, we get contacted from them with industry as well and on their housing needs, and hopefully we'll be able to solve some of those issues in the coming months. Some of the other things we'll be working on throughout the year, have our Move to Brooks website and videos. They're sort of going to partner along or parallel some of the work of the Alberta Calling that the Alberta government has done to attract workers and people to our area. And it goes beyond just what you can do, it's the lifestyle. We're seeing that already. We see people coming from Ontario, Toronto, where the cost of living is quite high, and we want to highlight the benefits of living in the city of Brooks. Other programs too that we're going to continue, as I already mentioned, NUGRO is coming up in a couple months. The International Federation of Ag Journalists Congress will be in our area, and we're going to be part of that event in Olds, hopefully to promote again agricultural businesses and our industry. And Alberta 55 Plus Games, another huge tourism draw and another way to showcase our city. And then finally, some of the other areas that we'll be working on are the regional energy strategy, business symposium. This is one where we had Power Up, was an event that we held for a few years. COVID sort of put a stop on that for a couple years. And so we're looking at whether it becomes Power Up or if it's something new and different. The county is also interested in pursuing this. So hopefully in the fall we'll have another symposium or forum of some form. And then finally, I just want to touch on the Kinbrook Pathway. Fundraising continues. The first phase of construction occurred last year, and we're hoping to continue towards completing the fundraising and finding the funds to finish off that project, which is going to be a big benefit for our area. But anyways, that's sort of just a quick overview, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, questions? Were you guys listening? Oh, okay, there you go. Marissa. Councillor Wardrop, sorry. Threw me off.
Thanks. I hope you didn't already say this much. I was listening.
I was going fast.
But in terms of housing, as we look forward to this next year, what kind of strategies are you guys hoping to put in place to help us deal with that situation?
Sure. Through the chair to Councillor Wardrop. You know, we'll be working with I know we already have done some housing studies within the city. What our focus will be working with some developers we've already been in contact with, sort of providing the information on the availability of land and potential developments within the city. There are local companies as well who are interested in doing some of this development. JBS, of course, is one of the bigger area employers who has a continual demand for housing for their employees. So we've already met with them, and we'll continue to have discussions with them on what their needs are and how we can best meet those.
Thank you. Alan?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mitch, through the chair to mayor and council. When you talked about the province's Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, we've had some successes, and especially with pharmacists. I was wondering if you wanted to just mention that.
Sure, through the chair to CEO. Yeah, so we've had a number of successes. With the rural renewal stream, what it allows us to do is sort of target some of the skilled jobs out there. One of the local businesses has been able to identify potential employees. So it's a lot of the work actually ends up following on those employers to fill out the paperwork and have the employees fill out them. Specifically, he's been able to find a number of candidates. I think he has got the last, there's a couple of them in the final stages of the immigration program, so we're hoping to see them fairly soon. And being Shoppers Drug Mart, it's actually allowed him to also look at investing in his business, and they were able to open up their walk-in clinic, which is a huge benefit as well to the city. So those kind of opportunities, you see businesses who are not opening at full hours or number of days. So if we can find ways for them to operate more successfully, we'll do that.
Excellent. Any more questions? Yes, Councillor Wardrop.
Thanks. This is just for clarification, because I think I did miss this part. Is this the rural renewal stream? You said you had 32
Yes.
participants right now, and it's gone up?
Yes,
Or-
actually, I should have, sorry, I didn't get a final number. I think we're up into the 40s now, yeah.
And of those participants, those are approved applicants, and the process has already begun for them, or?
Yes, so as a community, through the chair to Councillor Wardrop, as a community, we've been able to endorse them. So once they've been endorsed, they still have to apply to the Alberta government for approval, for a nomination for a work permit. So it's the first step is what we provide them. That is not a guarantee that they'll be approved through the program. But so far we've seen, if they can navigate through it, it's been fairly successful. I think we've only seen perhaps one rejection from our endorsements. So.
Okay, so then do we follow those, do we follow those businesses and see?
Yeah, so, and that's actually a good question, because with Courtney coming on, she's been able to spend a little bit more time doing that and reaching out back to the employers. Unfortunately, the program doesn't allow us access to where they are directly in the process. The Alberta government handles all that. So really, it has to be up to us to contact the employers and see where it's at and follow up there. So, and we are doing that.
Perfect.
Yes.
Awesome, thanks.
Councillor Prentice.
Yeah, I was just wondering, how close are you with that fundraising for that leak?
Okay.
path?
Yep. Through the chair to Councillor Prentice. So we recently just sort of went through the county, who is the lead on the construction of the project. Just went through their numbers based on sort of construction numbers from last year and what they expect to see for the remainder of the project. It's just over $1 million. That being said, there are certain organizations and companies who have expressed an interest in fundraising or helping with the program, so we're in discussions with that. We are looking at the opportunity of other grants. There was a large grant for $750,000, the active transportation grant. Unfortunately, we did not receive that one. Community fundraising right now, our goal is $300,000. We're just over $100,000, but we're looking at sort of ramping that up here this spring.
Councillor Jessica.
Yeah, minor thing, but just, I know that you've got the Brooks Newell Region brand on, and there had been some talk about the Brooks brand and updating the graphics for that, and it was going to go to a focus group. And how did that turn out, or where are we at in that process?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Jessica. That being, again, more of a communications department of the City of Brooks, I'm not really involved in that, to be honest. My focus is just on the Brooks Newell region, so I'm not sure if there's anybody else who would like to answer that.
Did you want to, yeah, sure. Please welcome Jordan.
Through the chair to Councillor Jessica, we delayed it and took it to the focus group. We've started with the seniors and high schoolers and moving on to business owners to get their input, and then we're going to release it to the general public as well. That should be wrapped up within a week. Originally, we thought it was going to take a short amount of time, but with the survey platform that we have, it was delayed a little bit. So yeah, that should be wrapped up within the next couple of weeks. And to give you an update on it, we have received very good feedback on it. So when it comes back to council committee, all that report to you guys. So.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone else? Well, let me just say this. I just have a question is, with the Move to Brooks campaign, one of the things that, if I could throw a suggestion is, you know, Google can be our worst enemy. When people go to Google or City, sometimes it doesn't bring up the nicest things. So one of the things that I would always encourage is that we have some amazing, what you've just presented here, 2022, 2023, from with Lisa and Mitchell and Courtney and Jordan on the team. You guys do an amazing job. You're doing our county and our city proud, and you're putting your best foot forward. And I just say, get on Google and just share it with the world. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
All right, to the motion, all in favor? Great, thank you for the report. Carried. All right, moved by Councillor Wardrop that the week of April 16th to 20th, 2023 be hereby proclaimed as National Volunteer Week in the City of Brooks. Amanda.
Through the chair to Mayor and Council. Recently, Mayor and Council received a letter from Grasslands Regional Family and Community Support Services Society, otherwise known as FCSS, regarding the proclamation of the 2023 Citizen and Junior Citizen of the Year and National Volunteer Week. Once again, FCSS is pleased to honor the Citizen and Junior Citizen of the Year on Friday, April 14th, 2023. As FCSS's mandate is to support volunteerism, they are pleased to be able to honor the citizens of our communities throughout the recognition of volunteers on April 14th and during National Volunteer Week from April 16th to April 22nd. Therefore, Grasslands Regional Family and Community Support Services Society respectfully requests that the week of April 16th to April 22nd, 2023 be hereby proclaimed as National Volunteer Week in the City of Brooks.
Any questions on that? Well, let me just say again, the city couldn't run without our volunteers. The many support groups from just that we have in our city is overwhelming, and this is a great opportunity to celebrate them and to thank all of our volunteers, from Communities in Bloom to our 55 plus games volunteers, everyone. We do, when we come together, we make the city great. So to the motion on that. Excellent, thank you, carried. This pen's dying again. All right, moved by Councillor Prentice that Marissa Mrs. Wilford, be appointed, which is really bad because I'm good friends with her too. Miss Wilford, actually, to be appointed to the Brooks Public Library Board for a first of 3-year term, commencing March 21st, 2023, and ending March 20th, 2026. Amy will be speaking to that.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. The library board has reviewed an application received for a member-at-large position and is recommending that they be appointed to the library board. Marlissa Wilford is a vice principal at a local school who has previously operated a summer reading program and volunteers with other local community organizations. She values the library and the space it provides residents to read and study. Therefore, administration is recommending that Marlissa Wilford be appointed to the Brooks Public Library Board for a first 3-year term, commencing March 21st, 2023, and ending March 20th, 2026.
Great. All to the motion, all in favor of Marlissa? All right, perfect. Carried. Moved by Councillor Jessica that Bob Brakel, Lisa Albers, and Adam, yep, Adam. Maher, youth member, be appointed to Safe Communities for a first of 3-year term, commencing March 21st, 2023, and ending March 20th, 2026. And go back to Amy.
Thank you. Through the chair to Deputy Mayor and Council. The Safe Communities Committee recently received applications for 2 vacant member-at-large positions and 1 youth position. Bob Breckel is a past mayor, councillor, and past president of Brooks Citizens on Patrol, and acts as a guard at the RCMP detachment. As Citizens on Patrol recently disbanded, he would like to continue to contribute to the community. Lisa Albers has volunteer experience with various organizations in the community and has received victim services training also. She would like to be involved with the committee to make the community safe for all ages. Adam Maher is a student at Brooks Composite High School who enjoys helping her community. I misused the wrong word there. I said his instead of her. Community and values advocacy to ensure that people have equal opportunities in life. Therefore, administration is recommending that Bob Breckel, Lisa Albers, and Ado Maher as the youth member be appointed to the Safe Communities Committee for first 3-year terms, commencing March 21st, 2023, and ending March 20th, 2026.
Thank you. To the motion, all in favor? Thank you. Carried. Moved by Councillor Dries that March 2023 financial variance report be accepted as information.
Thank you very much. Through the chair to Deputy Mayor and Council. So this report finds the city approximately 20% of the way through the 2023 year, and it compares our actual year-to-date costs with the 2023 budget. Once again, most of the variances are caused by the timing of revenues and expenditures because it's still fairly early in the year. So a few notable variances or events since my last report, which we expect may cause a variance at the end of the year. The saga of snow removal costs continuing to increase. So at the time of this report, we now see a unfavorable variance of about $91,000 on a prorated basis. This does not include the costs relating to the snow event of March 10th. At the time I was writing the report, of course, none of those costs weren't in yet, but it is anticipated that there will be an additional $20,000 in contracted snow removal for that event. The city has now paid their required contribution to the Newell Regional Solid Waste Management Authority for 2023. So the amount of the contribution was increased in the budget just to reflect the anticipated increase in costs. However, Newell Regional Solid Waste Management Authority was able to keep the required municipal contributions the same as the previous year, and therefore that results in about a $10,000 favorable variance for the city. As noted in the attached report, RCMP municipal fine revenue is lower than anticipated by about $30,000. where the municipal fine revenue generated through municipal enforcement is higher than budget by $12,000, and that's all on a prorated basis. In regards to capital, the capital budget, everything seems to be on track. The budget amounts now in the capital report include the carry forwards from 2022 capital budgets. So those have been finalized and carried forward to this report. So administration recommends that the report be accepted as information.
Oh, I might-
On the snow removal budget of 91,000, was there some money left over from other years in a reserve that's going to be used to cover that?
So through the chair to Councillor Prentice, yes, so we use a stabilization reserve for that. So if the snow removal budget goes over, we take money from the stabilization reserve, and if there is money left over in years, we put it into the stabilization reserve. So what I can tell you is in 2022, we are funding from the stabilization reserve because we were over budget at the end of the year for snow removal. However, in 2021, we did put some money into the stabilization reserve. So it really depends on how much snowfall we get and what we need. So it's one of those hard things to budget,
I know it is.
and we don't want the tax rates to fluctuate a lot by having to increase and lower. So that's why we use that.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Idris, you had a question? Okay. All right. Okay, then, to the motion, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Carried. Moved by Councillor Jessica that the council approve the 2024 fire truck tender facilitation in 2023. There you go.
Thank you, Your Worship, and to all the councillors. In the city's 10-year capital plan, the fire department has a fire truck budgeted for the replacement in year 2024. If a request for tender was facilitated in 2024 for the new fire truck, the fire truck would more than likely not be delivered to the city in time to replace the aging fire truck that no longer meets national standards, therefore requiring costly repairs in 2024. If a tender was facilitated in 2023, the fire truck would most likely be delivered in the fall of 2024, with the funding coming from 2024 budget. The breakdown of the budget is as follows: $152,000 from Protective Services Reserve, $187,000 from ICF, $105,500 from Vehicle Equipment Replacement Reserve, and $105,500 from operating. This totals $550,000. A 10% down payment of $55,000 would be required upon placing the order, with funding from the 2023 Protective Services Reserve. Therefore, staff recommends the council approve the 2024 fire truck tender facilitation in 2023. If there's any questions, I'd be pleased to answer them.
Thank you. Is there any questions at this time? I've got one question then, seeing that they have none. Does this mean, like, I'm thinking for next, when's your next truck after this one? When would that be due for tender? And the reason why I'm asking is, should we be thinking about that now too?
Sure. Yeah, I would have to check, but I think there might be one in 2026.
Okay.
But yes, very good question. Thanks for bringing it up.
Okay, thank you. All right, then if there's no other questions to the motion, all in favor? Great, thank you. Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Idris that March 21st, 2023 be hereby proclaimed as International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination in the City of Brooks. And that will be Amy. Thank you.
Thank you through the chair to Deputy Mayor and Council. On March 21st, 1960, 69 protesters of apartheid were killed in Sharpeville, South Africa. Subsequently, in 1966, the United Nations declared March 21st as the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. The 2023 theme focuses on the urgency of combating racism and racial discrimination. While much progress has been made, Indigenous peoples and racialized and religious minority communities in Canada continue to face racism and discrimination every day. This day serves as a call to action for individuals, organizations, and all levels of government to actively work to eliminate all forms of racial discrimination, injustice, systemic racism, and hate. Therefore, administration is recommending that March 21st, 2023 be hereby proclaimed as International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination in the City of Brooks.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions to this? Seeing none. All right, all in favor? Great, thank you. Thank you, Amy. Passed. All right. I'm seeing that we do have transportation service bylaw. It's tabled and it will stay there if nobody chooses to remove it at this time. We'll keep it there. Okay, perfect. All right, moved by Councillor Nesbitt that bylaw number 23/04 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to provide for the establishment and operation of fire protection services to be introduced and read a first time. And that will be Amy again. Thank you.
Thank you through the chair to Deputy Mayor and Council. Administration has drafted the attached fire bylaw, updated with minor administrative changes and to fit the current practice of the fire department. Additionally, the early payment option for fines has been removed to align with other city bylaws. Therefore, administration is recommending that council provide 3 readings and adopt bylaw 2304.
Okay. Is there some questions to this changes? Seeing none, all in favor? Great. Carried. All right. Moved by Councillor Prentice that bylaw number 23/04 be read a second time. No need to read it again? No?
Just all in favor.
All in favor? Perfect. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Wardrop that bylaw number 23/04 be given 3 readings at this meeting, and this needs to be carried unanimously to pass. Okay. All in favor? Great, thank you. Carried. All right, moved by Councillor Nesbitt that bylaw number 23/04 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to provide for the establishment and operation of fire protection services be read a 3rd time and adopted. All in favor? Great. Carried. Okay. Now, moved by Councillor Dries that bylaw number 23/05 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to establish rates to be charged in relation to fire prevention, inspection, suppression, and rescue services be introduced and read a first time. Amy. All right.
Thank you through the chair to Deputy Mayor and Council. The fire service fee bylaw has been updated to align with the fees the County of Newell charges for their responses to calls where the fire department is utilized or required. There are times when the city and county fire departments respond to the same calls, so aligning service fees will make billing insurance companies and receiving payment an easier process. Additionally, the fees also match Alberta transportation rates of reimbursement for fire department units, which are reviewed annually. Moving forward, the city's bylaw will be updated if the province's rates are changed. And the current fees for the city's fire department have not been updated since 2006. Therefore, administration is again recommending that council provide 3 readings and adopt this bylaw.
Okay, is there any questions for this? No? Seeing none, all in favor? Great, carried. Moved by Councillor Juska that bylaw number 23-05 be read a second time. All in favor? Great, carried. Moved by Councillor Prentice that bylaw number 23-05 be given 3 readings at this meeting and needs to be carried unanimously. All right. John's already ready to go. That's good. All right. Moved by Councillor Wardrop that bylaw number 23-05 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to establish rates to be charged in relation to fire prevention, inspection, suppression, and rescue services be read a 3rd time and adopted. All in favor of that? Great, thank you. Carried. All right, and now environmental. Okay, all right. Moved by Councillor Dries that bylaw number 23-06 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to provide for the establishment of the Environmental Advisory Committee of the City of Brooks be introduced and read a 1st time. Amy.
Thank you. Through the chair to Deputy Mayor and Council. Administration has drafted the Environmental Advisory Committee bylaw to update the composition of the committee to include a maximum of 2 citizens at large that can reside within the County of Newell. This request was presented at the February 28th Council Committee meeting, and minor formatting and administrative updates were also made. Therefore, administration is recommending that Council provide 3 readings and adopt this bylaw.
Great. To the motion, or any questions, sorry? Nothing? Okay. All right. All in favor? Great. Carried. Moved by Councillor Juska that bylaw number 23-06 be read a 2nd time. Any questions? No? All right. All in favor of that? All right. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Nesbitt that bylaw number 23-06 be given 3 readings at this meeting, and this needs to be carried unanimously. All in favor? Great. Moved by Councillor Prentice that bylaw number 23-06 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to provide for the establishment of the Environmental Advisory Committee of the City of Brooks be read a 3rd time and adopted. All in favor of that? Great, thanks. Moved by Councillor Wardrop that bylaw number 23-07 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to set a rate for the business tax levy on businesses located in the downtown center revitalization zone be introduced and read a 1st time. I'm going to guess Amy. All right.
You would be correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Through the chair to Deputy Mayor and Council. As required by Bylaw 9126 as amendments, Council must consider the annual budget as prepared by the Board of Directors of the BRZ and provide notice to the ratepayers of the budget consideration at its regular meeting to be held April 17th, 2023, and annually pass a bylaw to set a rate for the business tax levy on businesses located in the Brooks Town Center Business Revitalization Zone. So attached is the bylaw for 2023 showing the assessed value for the BRZ, the approved budget by the BRZ board, and the mill rate that will be applied to ratepayers of the BRZ. Therefore, bylaw 2307 is being presented for 1st reading, and after 1st reading is approved, notices will be sent to the ratepayers with a copy of the budget and the new mill rate. Ratepayers are invited to submit any concerns to administration prior to the April 17th council meeting, as a public hearing will be held before the bylaw is given 2nd and 3rd readings.
Okay, so any questions on this? Seeing none, all in favor of putting this? All right, carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Dries that a public hearing be held on April 17th, 2023 at 5 p.m. to gather public information regarding bylaw number 23-07. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Great, carried. Oh, What is this last one? Oh, questions from the media. Sandra.
Good afternoon. More of a statement. I see that they've chopped the trees down on Second Avenue.
That would be correct. Thank you. Okay.
If anybody would like to comment, they certainly can.
Get Dawn.
I would introduce Dawn to the platform.
Yes, we are cutting trees down on Second Avenue for the street improvement project this year.
Can you tell me, please, if any of the owners along there have contacted the city about having trees replaced?
I haven't heard anything yet.
None at this time, Sandra, have called in. Thank you very much, Sandra.
No.
Oh.
Okay, so I don't know if I'm out of line here, but I did take a walk down there before the last snow event and had a look at the trees. And the manager of parks had indicated that their health was certainly questionable. I did see that they're poorly located, and there some, especially things like the Manitoba maples, are not especially attractive trees. But personally, after thinking about it after it was presented to council as for a future project, I do have a problem with creating more concrete jungle. So at some point, as part of this project, I'm hoping that possibly through the city or through Communities in Bloom, we can possibly introduce some smaller trees that are more acceptable for those locations, or possibly some flower beds or something along those paths, especially in the residential areas, to try to, rather than creating another 4-foot strip of concrete on both sides of the highway. So that's just me talking on something that's been on my mind, and I do hope to pursue it.
Well, I think with you on Communities in Bloom, you can present a good project to City Council. Thank you. All right, moved by Councillor Nesbitt that the meeting adjourn at 5:25. All in favor?